Hello, everyone. Good to see you again. Welcome to the 9th Bite-Size talk. We hope you've been finding the talks we've had so far useful. So we would like to thank our funders, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, for supporting this series of talks. As usual, we are on Zoom and YouTube. So if you have any questions for the speaker during this session, please put them in the chat box and I will read them out at the end of the talk. So today we have Matthias Hörtenhuber from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, speaking to us about the what's, whys, and the hows of JSON schemas. Over to you, Matthias.
Thank you, Renuka, and welcome, everybody. Yes, as mentioned, today's topic is the JSON schema, what it is, why we chose to use it, and how we and actually you can utilize it. So first, we need to talk about parameters. And Nextflow, you either have them on the command line with minus in front of it, or for example, as in the main NF, as params.foo variable. In NF core, when we look through all the pipelines, we have, at least what I could parse, quite a large number of different parameters. It's an average 47, but as you can see, it goes up to 470. And to make these things actually usable, this should be documented so you can read up as a user, but also as a developer, what each parameter is doing. And also, in best case, we have a validation in the background, so it already throws an error before the tool which uses then the parameter throws the error, and it's therefore better to debug or easier to debug. But as you can imagine, with so many parameters, that's not so easy anymore to manage. So we therefore looked at JSON schema and thought this is exactly what we want. It's a standardized way to describe a data object, and it comes with its own validation library, which takes a lot of work off our shoulders. And last summer, we therefore added the Nextflow schema JSON file to the template, which is a description of all pipeline parameters in a JSON schema format. And here you see a quick excerpt of it. And this is the only thing you should actually see of the JSON, because we are of the opinion that you should never need to interact with these quite complex files. We have tools built around them, so you don't actually have to ever touch them. So how can you make this file, or how can you populate it or edit it? It's simply, and of course, schema build and then dot if you're in your repository. This then starts the normal wizard, which checks the current file, because with the pipeline with the template, each pipeline already has some base NF core parameters in it, and then asks you if you want to use the web builder, which I will show in a minute. And after you click there on the blue finish button, it will be sent back here, and the parameters will be updated in the Nextflow schema JSON file. So how does it actually look on the website if you run this? So here you have the parameter schema interface, where you can add a parameter. You scroll there, you give it a name, which should be lowercase. You can then also give it an icon, which we render on all web views. You can give it a description. The description doesn't have to be that long. It should be concise enough that it fits nicely in the command line help. Because if you have more complex things to talk about this parameter, we actually have a help text section, which you will see in a second. In this help text, you can write normal Markdown, and it's an interface you should be familiar with from GitHub, where it also shows you the rendered preview of this Markdown. There are 4 types of parameters. There's a string, a number, an integer, and a boolean. And for these, we have done some special features, but for now we can just say, okay, we want a string, we give it a default value, then we can decide if it's a required parameter, which means it always has to be filled out, or if it should be a hidden parameter, which is used for things you don't want to actually surface to every user, but it's good to still can interact with it. And then if you then click on the cogwheel on the side, you see 2 other features for this parameter you can choose. It can be enumerated values, which is like you can give it different options, or you can give it a pattern, which it will be validated against. So it's just regular expressions you can use there, and with that, you can, for example, like we do, check if an email is valid or if a date or duration is actually valid. You can also delete the parameter here if you made a mistake or you actually don't need it. If we choose that it's a number, we get 2 additional things besides the enumerated values. We can also decide to give it a minimum and a maximum value. And if we're happy there, we save the changes. But we at NF-Core actually don't like dangling parameters, so we should add it to a group. And with a group can have, again, a title. It has a fav icon, which are actually based on font awesome icons. And it can have a description and also a help text. You can also hide it, then everything is hidden. And if you now want to quickly put the newly created parameter in it, just hit that box, or you can use drag and drop to get there as well. When you're done, you hit finished. Everything is done here, and on the command line you will see that it stops and wrote to the new file the new parameters. Okay, so now we have the updated Nextflow schema JSON, where why are we actually using it and where are we using it? So I actually stumbled into this because I didn't want to write documentation on several places for the same thing. Because in the main.env, we had the help text where you had to define your parameters, which is now done with the Nextflow schema JSON. So when you run help, you get this nice output with the groupings intact, the parameter names, the parameter types, the description. That's why you should keep it short, so it's nice and short here. And also default values are printed in here. And it's nice, but also for the website, we use the exact same file. Here we also, to render this description of your parameters, where we also include the icons, and the help text is here rendered, and the markdown of the help text is rendered here nicely, and also the default values are shown, and options will come in a minute there. That's it for how we use it for the documentation. We also use it for parameter validation. So if you run if you run our pipeline now with our new parameter, the answer, and give it 42, it will throw an error. It actually throws 2 errors. The first error is that it's a different type than expected. It expects a number. If you remember, we chose that it should be a number, but it was a string. And also, input is for all NF-Core pipelines a required parameter, but it's missing here, so that is also thrown here. This is a nice way to quickly check that all parameters are actually correct before you have to start the whole pipeline. We also have a very nice launch interface where you just write NF-Core launch and then either pipeline name, or if you already know pipeline, a dot, and then you get similar like to the build, it's validating the schema that everything looks good, and also all the parameters you gave look according to the schema. And then you are asked to if you want to use a web-based or command line wizard, where you can choose the parameters. I'll quickly show you later on how the web-based looks like, web-based interface looks like. Then when we are done on the web-based interface, we are sent back here again, and we can decide to use these parameters we choose in the browser for this exact run now, and run the workflow with our nicely, clearly defined parameters. So how does the web interface look like? Here I just chose a random pipeline. And you might have seen this launch button here, which leads you to the launch interface. You can actually use a different version. And for example, here I now chose the development version, and I can launch the development version of the pipeline and the development version of the parameters as well. And here you see it's, as usual, nicely rendered with a description. The help text is also here behind the question mark, rendering even complex markdown like tables very nicely. And also all parameters here are validated. Again, I forgot the input parameter. If I edit, I can launch it. And then we have three options what to do. Either we can use this ID, which takes the parameters we chose in this for this run, or we can send everything to Nextflow Tower to use that as an interface, or we can just like copy paste this one into nfparams.json file, which is actually created if you use the command line interface itself as well. That's it for how and where we use the NFCore schema, the Nextflow schema JSON file. If you want to test your renderings of the markdowns, you can use the website Docker image. And for more documentation, you have the link here in the tools section of the documentation. With that, if you want to discuss how we implemented it or how you should use it, what types you want to use, and so on and so forth, come to the JSON Schema Slack channel, and we're happy to help you there. And come next week, same time, same place, to the next talk where we'll present making a new institutional profile. Okay, thank you very much. And any questions you want to know about the JSON schema and how we use it?
Thanks, Matthias. Yes, I invite the audience to put their questions in the chat, and I can relay them. So I'll wait for a minute or so.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you can also continue the discussion in the bytesize channel.
Exactly.
And I'd just like to remind everyone that past talks, slide decks, and transcripts are available for most of our videos now on the website. So just check them out and see if you find them useful. We'd also like to hear your feedback on what else you'd like available. Okay, so
yes, I just read it. Sorry, yeah.
All right.
So yes, you can nest parameters inside. So you, according to JSON schema definition, you can have multiple layers of groupings inside. We only want an NF core for practical reasons. Decided one level is enough, so you can have you can't have several levels deep in NF core schemas. Yes, of course. If the community says no, actually we really need this, we are happy to change it accordingly. It's just a bit more complex when you need to find out how far down you have to travel in a JSON file.
All right, I don't see any more questions popping
Good.
up at this point. So I'd like to end this session then. Join us again next week for bytesize 10, where we will have James Fellows Yates talking to us about making institutional object profiles.